my name's Zoe, and I'm really not that kind of engaged in, unlike many of the other speakers here, don't have that sort of pedigree, some of you would say. And generally my kind of engagement with games centers around mostly playing Dota and being angry. And while Dota does have a boss in big air quotes, that's not really what I'm going to talk about today. So, towards the theme of Dungeon Keeper, I basically, when pitching this, I thought about boss battles. And since it was all about baddies, there have always, as long as there have been baddies in video games, and there have been baddies in video games for pretty much as long as there have been video games, there have been boss battles. And they're so ubiquitous, but also, I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like they're a bit shit. They're always kind of a bit tacked on, especially in kind of my youth. I always read these reviews which said, "Oh, it's a really great game," and then the boss battle happens, and they got sad. And I kind of want to just kind of take you through some of the boss battles that I kind of really liked. I really enjoyed some of them, which are awful, but you may not know about them, and some kind of like we're going to go to a place where essentially I want to talk about one element which I really think, if you doing a boss battle, you can really nail it. So, let's just go. Yeah. So, as I say, this is kind of a really kind of sort of personal talk, just talking about my own sort of kind of personal opinion. But that being said, if you are the sort of person who thinks, "Oh man, I really want to rip this poison dart out of my leg for the 50th time after you've reset doing the boss battle, the Fear, in Metal Gear Solid 3 on European Extreme," then you might have a small problem. And that's certainly okay for me to say, because I was that person once. I was that person who thought, you know what, I can measure my life through video game achievement. Nonetheless, I played through the game on European Extreme, and I went to tranquilize all the bosses, because, again, I'm a sadomasochist, and it gave you, I believe the rank at the end of the game was a rank of pigeon, maybe dove, and I don't understand why I felt so strongly about needing this kind of altercation, but, so, yeah, and as I say, I guess, I have my self to blame for playing through it on the most difficult setting. So, speaking of Metal Gear, I really want to kind of mention one of the boss fights which I think is really underappreciated from the series. It's a really kind of good standout of the kind of how well some of the parts of the game are designed. And we have our good old buddy here, who's the Pain, and as you can see, he's kind of really friendly with bees. I originally thought they were hornets. Like, he's so friendly with bees that he shoots them out his mouth. And then he takes, at the climactic moment of boss fight, he does take his mask off, and then he's covered in bee stings. So you kind of think, how well is this relationship working for you? But the reasons why I love this boss battle is because in Metal Gear Solid 3, which for me will forever be a PS2 game, which, released, I can't even remember when. But you fight the Pain in an arena which is very simple. It's a sort of cave with an underwater section. And this is why I'm referring to the Battle of Domain, essentially. The Pain's domain, he has this kind of island outcrop, and surrounding him is this water which is deep enough for you to kind of hide in. But obviously, you will drown after time, so you can't stay there. And little known fact about bees or hornets is both of them cannot swim, so you're fairly safe from his attacks. And this creates this really interesting tension of push and pull as you try and, you have to climb out water slowly. It's kind of awkward and painful. It seems, it's tense, but you can always run away again, and you really need to get onto those rocky platforms to get off those real meaty shots. And likewise, the Pain, while unable to mostly attack you in the water, grenades still swim in the water, and they still explode. That's, in reference to the title. And it's a really good example of just how good Kojima has generally been in incorporating kind of just various elements and having a really well-rounded kind of consideration of game design. The Fear that I mentioned earlier, one of the probably most famous things that you can do is you poison him with poisoned food, which you prepare yourself in these bonnets. You think, oh, great. And that's, kind of a viable part of your strategy. It's the sort of thing that as the children would go, oh, did you know that you can poison him with food? That's really good strategy. It's like, oh, yes, great. So before this kind of turns into the Metal Gear Solid Fan-cast, it's going to become the Borderlands Fan-cast. So much apologies if you hate all these games. It's my turn now. I've got the mic. So the Borderlands games, I have a kind of really soft spot for them. Part of them is Anthony Birch's writing in some places. It has its ups and downs. And I'm going to talk about Borderlands, the pre-sequel, that game which I know that you're all dying to play, about 70% on Metacritic, real middle of the road. And my kind of level of engagement with it, it's a game about making pretty patterns and engaging in systems. I had a build where I played a class where I fired a gun very fast and then I swapped weapon and I fired a gun really fast again because I'm really simple. I'm not very smart. That's kind of the levels of engagement I've got going on here. And in primary reference, we're talking about the Claptastic Voice DLC, which, as DLCs go, it's pretty good. It's no Tiny Teeth and It's a Salt and Dragon Hair Cape, which was mentioned earlier, because that one is fucking great. But yeah, it's a fairly good premise as you go inside the head of Claptrap, one of the recurring characters of Borderlands, and go to retrieve an artifact for your paymaster, Handsome Jack, complete douchebag, and retrieve it for him. So I want to talk about this, as I say, spoilers for that eagerly anticipated away game, the pre-sequel. I want to talk about the final boss battle, which unsurprisingly is a computer program, which, you are in a computer, so it could perhaps be expected. And you fill in full of lead, and you go, oh, great, well done you. You retrieve the artifact, and then you hand it to your paymaster and go, didn't I do well? You pick up your reward. Before, oh horror of horrors, the walls fade away, and you realise they're still in the computer. And as I say, I like this because I'm really dim. I didn't see it coming. I thought, we'll be fine. But it's a nice little trick that you've got there. It's not Stanley Parable material about the arbitrary nature of games and how Total Wins is a designer, but it's a funny little get. And what results though, it gets worse because the boss doesn't transform once, it transforms twice. From a big giant stumpy robot into one that flies around the arena. And I'm thinking, I'm running out of bullets here, not just the 4 that I've got equipped. I'm having to use the other 2 or 3 guns in my inventory, and this is not what the game's about. It's not about ammo conversation. I'm not even going to try. So let's just use the conservation. There we go. Yes, woo! Pronunciation hype. I was just like, this is the archetypal bullet sponge. It's really disappointing. That kind of goes with my theme of bosses that are totally different, better or worse. So I'm staying with Borderlands the pre-sequel because clearly I really heart the game, and no one else does. And in the main game, there's a fight, an encounter with a character called Felicity, who you rescue from an evil, just kind of plain dude who's essentially allowed her to become sentient so that she can become his girlfriend. And you think, wow, what an asshole. I need to rescue this person. But unfortunately, for plot reasons, you have to go shove Felicity inside a kind of robot and erase all her personality and kind of take her, essentially take this once free being and then destroy her again. Just kind of to prove that, hey, yeah, Handsome Jack, that guy, he's a dick. And it's this kind of boss fight made me so ashamed. I felt so bad. And I'm not entirely sure why, because you go through the rest of the game, you do horrible, horrible things, but I really felt attached to this female character, essentially, to this woman who, while as an AI, she has thoughts and feelings. And I ended the game for a month before finally coming back to it, because the end of the story is that explosions. I'm very simple. But yeah, I'm really I'm a little bit more decided than when I wrote these slides about how cool or how bad it was, because my brother spoke to me and said, isn't it really good though that a game that you didn't expect really surprised you with its kind of narrative shift, that the narrative really jutted out there. I'm like, oh no, not really. I just really wanted to shoot things. As again, the meme here is I'm very simple. So continuing onwards, we have this great chap who is just So I really wanted to love. I really do love, in fact, Deus Ex. I'm Deus Ex apologist. I'm sorry, and I really like Human Revolution, but the initial boss fights in that game, as were quite well known, were shipped out to another studio, and it really shows. As this guy turns up and goes like, and says to you, I know that you've been sneaking around this compound, kind of like someone that got caught short on the toilet, and really needs toilet paper, but here's my chain gun, and I have to die for plot reasons. Because you will never know, you will never find your way to China any other way. There's no possible conceit with all the systems that you've built into this game that you will go. And as admittedly, the changes in the new release did go some ways to kind of ameliorating this problem, but it's kind of a bit too late, really. And another good old classic that I like is the floating space baby in Half-Life. Spoiler alert. And I didn't really feel like this needed a boss fight at all. There are encounters in the rest of Half-Life. The famous one where you fight tentacles inside a blast pit, and you can't actually kill them through conventional means. You need to be smart. In fact, they're completely blind. So they only respond to sound. That's a really cool gimmick, and was a really nice thing ahead of its time. And just the baby has none of that. He floats up and down like an idiot, and then his head opens, and then you shoot bullets in it, and you go, oh gosh. And maybe I'm being a bit unfair because Zen was rubbish, It's not really, and maybe I'm being a bit too unfair on the game, which, to be frank, is not a narrative tour de force. It doesn't really have a great deal going for it. But from the bad to the good, and this is maybe one of my favourite things that I've ever done in a video game, which is have a debate with the primary antagonist. And that debate is, again, in Deus Ex, where Hugh Darrow, the proponent, well, he is an anti-augmentation person, essentially, and you have to convince him to kind of see your way. And as a remark, it's a really nice way of not having awkward, cheeky failure states, because I don't know if you know, but if you have a debate with someone, you're not usually killed at the end of it. It's not really kind of, it's not cricket, really. But ultimately, it kind of falls flat because, again, you end up having one of these fights at the end of the game where, you have these, he gave you this kind of key which made it easier for you. But ultimately, you're just kind of facing this thing in the centre of a room, and you kind of go, well, there's no getting away from it. It's kind of like, it's like a big turd in the middle of the room. I have to clean it up, because otherwise, I won't get that. Sorry, I thought someone was. So yeah, but it's a really kind of promising way that technology has essentially allowed us to model more complex interactions with, we're dealing with problems with narrative, kind of dealing with climactic elements in narrative. So from those that kind of jut out from tonally to those that kind of define tone and define their systems, and they are so integral to the game, it's kind of weird. It would be very weird in a lot of cases to think of them without. So the first three are very much kind of in the same sort of kind of clique in this kind of area way. They're not really all Sado core. I wouldn't describe Binding of Isaac, maybe, depending on your skill level, but Wings of the certainly is, and Dark Souls is bloody hard, and I've never beaten the Asylum Theorem, so, shut me now. But yeah, these games are really well defined because they understand their audience in the sense that they know that people play these games because they want to be intimately acquainted with the systems that define these boss fights. They want to know every tell, every parry, every moment, and they want to have that sense of mastery, and that is something in itself. It may not be your cup of tea, but it's certainly got something going for it. Now, here's the most revolutionary piece of game criticism that you'll ever hear this evening. More games should be like Shadow of the Colossus. Real barn burner, that one. But no, really, it's a game which understands that, to use the MMO phrase, I don't think there's a single trash mob anywhere in that game. There's no experience which is go, well, I have to go through some of these kind of vine-weedy things to get to the next Colossus. It understands that by doing that, you'd be kind of you'd be toning down the experience, you'd be watering it down, being like, you're killing these majestic, beautiful creatures, ultimately for a noble goal, as we discussed, it was discussed earlier. But, there's the kind of element there, which is essentially understands that is the game. There's no kind of frivolous bits around it. So I've talked in a sort of kind of roundabout fashion. About the sort of things that I kind of like, and just not really gone anywhere. I've kind of been that sort of that person in a kind of Gma game, just because now, son, secret weapons, nukes, things. Yes. So I kind of want to go with what I think is the secret weapon in terms of boss fight design, and maybe it's because it's just me, but I think it's music. And I think, perhaps I do respond really well to music, but the people who made the music for all the Metal Gear Solid games, so Hanks and Williams, in nearly every single one, apart from Metal Gear Solid 4, and that guy in Metal Gear Rising, I'm not going to try and pronounce the name, would be torture. They've got a really great understanding of setting pace and tone in video games. And the sort of thing I failed to mention earlier, kind of deliberately, was boss fights like The End and Fat Man from Metal Gear 2 and 3, respectively. These fights are really well designed because they've got the track Yell, Dead Cell, Yell. Sorry, it's just Yell, Dead Cell, which, if you go look it up later, the opening few bars of it are mimicking, they're in fact matching the skittering noise that Fat Man's skate make across the top of Dead Cell, off the top of Big Shell. And it's a really nice refined touch, and it uses trumpets to heighten that sense of urgency along with kind of lo-fi distortions in sound. So really kind of drive home the point. And The End is a really good example of the use of music in games because it doesn't have any. At least not in my memory. Isn't that going dun dun dun? You are being watched by an old sniper man. He's going to shoot you. There's none of that. And so, in a lot of senses, the use of music is understanding when and where to use it. But now to kind of deal with the elephant in the room, and also, a point on the slide, or you could just make Crypt of the Necrodance, which is bloody excellent. It's a really great intertwining of all the mechanics along with the music. There's been more than enough said about it for many, many times. But as I say, to talk about the reason I was inspired to kind of pitch this talk, which is the boss fight from Metal Gear Ray. The boss fight from Metal Gear Revengeance. I think I screwed it up like a third time because it's Metal Gear Rising Revengeance by Platinum Games. Yeah, be proud. And you fight Metal Gear Ray, which is kind of a stalwart of the series since MGS2. And it's a lovely fight in terms of pacing, but also in music. In terms of pacing, it's really well done because it never feels overly difficult. But it also, there's a kind of element of challenge and just kind of raw appeal, essentially. You are fighting a large, towering robot. You're only a small man. You may be a man with a sword who seems to have superpowers, but that's fine. It seemed like it could be a reasonable amount of challenge. But But as I say, it's the music which I really want to focus on. It's really highlighting and making you feel making you feel essentially like a champion. It's a really great high point, and I feel like all games should start with, "Hey, you're awesome." You know, you're not some weak peon who has to go up this laboured progression curve, and now here's our problem. Because for any of you that do know Metal Gear Rising Revenants, you do have to face a forced fail boss fight right after this to prove that you ain't all that. So just give me a second as I tab out to go play this video.
Yes! Swing it wide open!
Had basically what amounts to it's cheesy as fuck anime music essentially. It feels like it belongs in anime music video, and I don't mean that in a derisitory manner because I really like it. Let's go back and there's a full disclosure. It's a game that I occasionally speedrun, and every time I do it, I think, it just makes me feel really happy because I feel like a champion. And to kind of, in fact, if I can. Just go back a bit. We'll. Sorry. Yeah, to go back a bit. At this moment in the still, the arm is coming back, and a wicked guitar riff plays. You go, oh, the shit is coming down. That's great. And it's a really not very intellectual kind of dissection of this fight, because I'm really just going, it really makes me feel good. Does it make you feel good? I hope so, because otherwise you're dead inside. So that's Metal Gear Ray, and so I just need to get back into the presentation. So in sort of closing set, in kind of closing end. I've dodged the bullet essentially of defining boss battles throughout this talk for a while because I kind of wanted you to take what you meant from that. And for me, it was always about kind of occasionally bullet sponges, but also kind of things with long ass health bars and they come at the defining points of the narrative. And that definition is becoming, I would say, a little bit, it's becoming unhelpful and it's unhelpful and nebulous. Because boss fights, essentially, they're becoming more than that. You can solve climactic points of the narrative in more interesting ways, thanks to technology, and just thanks to people being better designers. Whereas, those that kind of follow that traditional mold are embracing that fact. And they're understanding what makes their games tick better. They understand that, you're supposed to make this. You're supposed to fail this boss a number of times so that you can learn certain things about it. And we've made that easy for you. We won't stick an awesome, we won't stick a cutscene in between you and the checkpoint, which you either have to, God forbid, watch or skip through. That's not the sort of thing when you want to try and really kind of familiarize yourself with mechanics of one particular encounter. And as I say, the kind of emergence of technology is just kind of helping that kind of step. So that's my talk, and you've all been lovely. Thanks very much.